Hi, I'm Travis Mines, and tonight on Urban Investigators, we will be discussing the myth of the Ann Arbor fairy doors that have begun popping up all over the city. What are fairy doors, you might ask? Fairy doors are miniature doors created especially for fairies and are about 6 inches high. They are located beside the main doors in a number of downtown Ann Arbor stores. No one is entirely sure how and when these doors started appearing, but here at Urban Investigators, we plan to find out. Join us as we head out to Ann Arbor to visit these fairy doors and speak with the locals on the peculiar phenomenon. Along the way, ask yourself, do these mythological entities really inhabit the city, or is this just another urban legend created by a few store owners and artists? Tonight on Urban Investigators, we will ask, what do you believe?
Ann Arbor, home of the University of Michigan campus in the historic downtown area. It is also home to some unusual residents who have just recently moved in. Nobody really knows where they came from or why they're here, but they have become a popular attraction to the city of Ann Arbor. We sat down with a man who first discovered these doors.
I'm not telling you anything.
Jonathan Wright actually has a few fairy doors in his own home.
Some are located in our home in Ann Arbor, and then others are located at businesses and schools around Ann Arbor. I've had emails sent to me with photographs of other ones around the country in Indiana, Ohio, I think Florida. They're little doors, about 6 inches tall, 6.5 inches, and they're showing up around Ann Arbor and actually all over the country now. They've been dubbed fairy doors, although nobody's seen a fairy per se, but the location of them is indicating fairies, and the reports mostly from little kids. The most reliable source seems to be kindergartners. They seem to see the most of them. Well, it's kind of freaky, isn't it? I just think it's really interesting that there'd be little doors around town and the spaces behind them. I've always been interested in mythology and such. It's a fun subject, and so is my wife. She's of Irish heritage, and so she's grown up believing in leprechauns and fairies and such, so I think that's contributed.
Jonathan and his wife are working on creating a book that highlights the fairy doors.
It's set up to be part sketchbook and then part standard book, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so there's dummy copy in here, but this is our house and the blueprints I was making of it when we had the addition. Mm-hmm. And the location of the original fairy door was on an exterior wall, which then in turn became an interior one. And the book will include shots of the locations as well as my sketches and speculations. So this is not in any kind of order yet, and obviously missing a lot of text and photos and as well as illustrations, but it'll also include some of what you saw in the journal guest books. So.
But these are what I call journal guest books that I've left at the various locations to get information from the people that stop by. So there'll be illustrations from kids and adults as well as comments and such. I believe the Sweetwater Journal, this is the 3rd one, and this is the 4th one. We're on the 8th one now. And I think Sweetwater's is a coffee shop, and that's conducive to loitering, so they tend to fill up a little faster than some of the other locations. So that's mine. I drew that.
After hearing so much about the fairy doors, we couldn't wait to head out to the streets of Ann Arbor and check them out for ourselves. There was no better place to start than the Silo Shovel Gallery. Not only was there a door on the outside wall, but on the inside there was a miniature fairy window as well. And what's more, there was even a guest book there for guests to sign, though even the employees don't know where they came from.
Just one day it just appeared.
Across the street is a popular performance venue, the Ark, with a fairy door that is almost a perfect replica of a real door.
Down the street lies a real fairy hotspot, Peaceable Kingdom. It's got a door on the outside with a stoop full of gum, candy, change, and other treats for the fairies. But what's most impressive is what you find when you venture indoors. Around the corner are miniature windows that look into a fairy shop. The fairies aren't in when we visit, but it looks like there's plenty for sale.
The Ann Arbor District Library even has its own fairy door, set on the side of a bookcase in the children's section. Tucked away inside Sweetwater's Cafe is another fairy door. If you weren't looking for it, you probably wouldn't even notice it if it weren't for the poster hanging above.
So, question is, do you guys believe in fairies?
I've never really thought about it. Probably not.
Oh, they must. They've got the doors.
We couldn't leave without seeing one more door. A block from Sweetwater's, we found the Red Shoes Company, a quirky clothing and knick-knack store. Like the Ark, this fairy door is a mean replica of the actual door, complete with its own garden beneath.
In our own home in 1993, the first one showed up in the baseboard of a hallway. And then subsequent to that, there was one in the fireplace, one in the kitchen. Then in 2005, the spring of 2005, people saw them around town. You don't have access to them, although, as I said, kindergartners are the ones that seem to have the most sightings. They claim they see it open and shut, and then shortly after it's locked again.
Which one do you guys like the best?
Peaceful Kingdom, yeah. Because the door, you can look inside and you can see all the stuff inside of it. And then inside, in one of the stores, you can see the windows, and you can look inside the window.
Some are located in our home in Ann Arbor, and then others are located at businesses and schools around Ann Arbor. I've had emails sent to me with photographs of other ones around the country in Indiana, Ohio, I think Florida. There's some speculation, folklore, that fairies are all over the place, and it's only recently that we've seen any evidence of what I call urban fairies, fairies that actually have residences or businesses that are human-like. So it varies from location to location what might be behind. Some is you have to speculate, others you can actually peek inside.
Since the first fairy door sighting occurred more than a dozen years ago, the number of fairy doors found in the city of Ann Arbor has grown exponentially. With new fairy neighbors appearing more frequently, residents will need to open their minds and their hearts to the new world around it. Most importantly, Ann Arbor needs to ask itself, do fairies really exist?
Well, that is a question to be answered with further investigation, I think. It's all circumstantial at this point. I haven't had any fairy sightings of my own, just a lot of evidence. I'm just collecting evidence and information. I've made a website where I post that information, and together with my wife, we're writing books on what we find.
There you have it. Now ask yourself, do these mythological entities really inhabit the city? Or is this just another urban legend created by the imagination of a few store owners and artists? What do you believe?